Hey YouTube, Grunt Reviews. Today we will be transporting ourselves to the Vaterland to compare some pistols, yeah. My accents are horrible. Guys, today we're going to do a little comparison. A couple people had asked for this. We are going to compare the Walther PDP to the HK VP9 in a little tabletop side-by-side. Guys, as always, like, subscribe, share us. Drop a comment down below with your thoughts. I've got my Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. We do appreciate your support, and let's get into it. All right, guys, so this won't be a 100% side-by-side, but it will be very close. This is the VP9 Tactical. So of course the lower is the same, the slide is the same, it just has the threaded barrel. This one does have a couple of aftermarket goodies on it. Does have the TrueGlow TFX sights, does have the Lobos trigger and a Taylor Freelance magwell. This is normally the host for my long slide. And this PDP is the full-size 4.5 model, and it is completely bone stock for the review. So just kind of wanted to compare these side by side if maybe you are debating these. So we'll start at the top. Sight radius on both of these. So obviously the VP9 generally does come with a 4-inch barrel instead of a 4.5, and then the long slide is a 5-inch barrel. Sight radius going off the cuts, you do get a little bit longer sight radius with the PDP, and of course you do get a little bit longer slide as well. Obviously on the PDP, as you change your barrel length, you also change your slide length. So they do have a 4-inch model and a 5-inch model as well. So that may change slightly depending on which model you have, but the slides overall, so the VP9 is a little bit, I'm going to say a little bit more compact slide. We'll see if we can get that in the camera there. But the Walther feels very chunky. It just feels big. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does definitely feel wider, and it is slide for slide, lining these up with the rails. The Walther is just a little bit taller slide. In terms of serrations on these, the Walther has some very deep cuts on the front and some deep cuts on the rear. The VP9, their serrations are a little bit more shallow, but still very usable. The one thing I really do like about the VP9 is they give you these wings at the back. So if you're slingshotting that slide back, these make it very, very easy to maintain a good grip on the slide. The Walther cuts aren't terrible, but if you were trying to grab it from the back, the rear of the slide doesn't have anything to hook onto. Obviously it does have the cuts, but as you can see, those cuts or those serrations do run into the optics plate. So once you start mounting an optic on there, you do lose a little bit of access to those. Not a huge deal, but in my completely arbitrary point system, I will give a point to HK for the little wings. The Walther, and you can kind of see here, does have an adjustable rear sight on it. Obviously these are not factory VP9 sights, so not a direct comparison, but I did want to mention that. Both of these obviously have a fantastic name and reputation for quality. Both of them, as we move down into the frame, both of them do have a pick rail on them. HK puts another serial plate on there. Walther does not, so it does give you a little bit more bite for your accessories, a little bit more polymer to grab onto. Both of these do give you some texture there on the front of the trigger guard. The Walther is a little bit chunkier looking trigger guard. The HK is a little bit smoother. Trigger wise, and we'll highlight this. So this is a Lobos trigger, and basically it will change a little bit of the reset, but to give you an idea of how the VP9 trigger actually looks, you've got a take up. There's almost a little notch in the take up. You're on that wall, and then you have that break. And the factory one, very, very similar to it. The Walther trigger, little bit of notchiness in the take up, but it drops right on that wall, so very easy to prep this trigger. And then just a hair of creep, a nice break, and a short reset. Is a little bit quieter than the VP9 on the reset. Back to break. Give you the reset on this thing. This is where those slide wings come in handy. Little bit longer reset on the VP9. Back to a break. So trigger wise, the VP9 has been out for several years now and is still a fantastic pistol. When it came out, this was one of the best striker fired triggers you could get. I'm going to give that point to Walther on this. Their duty trigger, as they're calling this thing, is absolutely a pleasure to shoot. So rolling this over and going side by side here, or moving to the left side. Takedown. Obviously the VP9, you pull it back, you rotate it, and you remove the slide. The Walther is a little bit different system. It's more of a push down style system. Both are very easy to take down. The VP9, and this is where this does get a little bit different. These are available with the standard trigger guard paddle release, and that is an ambi mag release, so it is on both sides. They do have a button version as well. I don't have access to one of those. Walther only gives you the button. This is a very easy to use button though. Good amount of texture on it, very easy to get your thumb on it. And I believe this is also ambi as well. You've just got to pull it apart and flip everything around. But it's not ambidextrous all the time, I should say. It can be set up for left-handed shooters. The slide release as well, little bit longer slide lock, slide release on the Walther, little bit smaller on the VP9, but both are very easy to get your thumb on to activate. There we go. And both of these do have ambidextrous slide releases. The VP9 does give you, the PDP does give you the same size release on both sides, which is kind of nice. The VP9 gives you a little bit smaller slide release on the right-hand side. The PDP feels like it was made to be ambi. This kind of feels like HK did this almost as an afterthought, but both are very functional there and definitely usable. Grip texture and we'll call it the grip module. This is where you get into a little bit more of a change. So the VP9, once you knock this pin out and remove the mag well in this case, they have a completely customizable grip module. So the side panels, I believe there's 2 or 3 different sizes of side panels offered by HK, as well as I believe there's some aftermarket folks doing them now. And you also have the back strap as a replaceable component too. And all of them do come with that same texture from the factory. So you do get a little more customization in the VP9. Does feel very nice in the hand, and it is very easy to set it up for you. So with those panels being adjustable on both sides, you can make the right side fatter, the left side skinnier. They give you a little bit more room to set it up to your liking and to your hand. So definitely a point to HK for the customizable factor of it. The texture itself on the HK, there's some texture there. It's not very aggressive. It looks okay visually, but it's not as grippy as I would like it to be. I'd like something just a little bit more without going overboard. Nice thing though with the VP9, the way this texture is, it doesn't grab your skin or your undershirt or anything if you are carrying this concealed. The PDP, the rear or the back of the grip panel is replaceable. I believe it comes with 2 or 3 in the box, but the side panels are not replaceable. A little bit of difference here as well too. The Walther uses a straight front. The VP9 does have the finger grooves. I know a lot of the Glock guys argue finger grooves versus no finger grooves. That is going to boil down to some preference there. But they give you some of that spiky diamond-like texture on the front strap. And then they have it's hard to describe this, almost like a pufferfish type texture. Bunch of tiny little, I don't know if needles is the right word. But they have some, and it may be hard to see in the video, they have a little bit of texturing, almost a finger groove built into the side panels on this. For me, it's very, very comfortable in the hand. I like this texture a little bit more. It's a little grippier on your skin without being too aggressive. Honestly, I wish this was actually just a hair more aggressive. If you've watched some of my other videos, I do like a pretty aggressive texture. Shooting competition, I run obviously the very aggressive skateboard tape on most of my USPSA guns. But at the same point in time, if you're looking for something for a concealed carry package, this is just that right amount to still be able to get a good grip without it rubbing into your skin there. Grip length, and this is hard to see with the magwell on, but the Walther is just a hair longer in grip length without a magwell. I'm going to say maybe a 1/4 inch, give or take. So it is just a little bit bigger gun. Magazine capacity, last thing I will talk about, this is the Walther mag. Does come with 18 rounds or 18 round magazines. The VP9 originally came with 15. They've made a change in 2020. Now it comes with 17. They did change the follower in it. So overall capacity very similar between the two of them. Walther has more. Point to Walther there. Thoughts side by side in my hand. The Walther definitely feels bigger. Just visually, the sides of the slide are more vertical. The VP9 has more of a trapezoid feel to it. So the VP9, completely subjective feel here, feels like a smaller overall weapon, even with the slightly longer threaded barrel on it. It's personal preference. Once again, I'm a reviewer. It's very subjective. I like the feel of the VP9. I like the trigger system and the texture of the Walther. Both of these are quality. Both of these shoot very well. Both of these will serve you well in a duty capacity and or a concealed carry capacity. But like I said, just wanted to get these side by side on the tabletop. And if you're maybe debating ordering one of these two, hopefully this helps you out. Guys, as always, I appreciate your time watching this. Stay safe, train hard.